Hey, I'm Randy, and I'm the Cheap Audio Man. Here at the Cheap Audio Man, we don't feel like audio equipment should cost as much as fully funding a Roth IRA in your early 20s for a few years, and then not putting any more money into it, waiting till you retire, and then having way more money than what you put into it. Like a bunch more money. Audio equipment shouldn't cost as much as that. JBL Studio 530s. Look at them. They're different looking. So, grab a cup of coffee, sit down, and let's talk about the JBL Studio 530s. Oh boy. Sponsor, Charlene's Little Secret generic peanut butter. Yeah, it costs like 50% of regular peanut butter. And if you get it and then put it into like a name brand peanut butter jar, nobody's going to know the difference. It's Charlene's Little Secret. You should look into it when your peanut butter costs are getting out of hand. All right. JBL Studio 530s. Look at these things. All right, they're different. They're different looking. Yeah. Look at all the different geometric shapes instead of a regular rectangle. They're taller. They're different looking. They have a rear port. You can buy wire or buy amp them. Okay, I made it. 5 1/4 inch woofer. 1 inch compression driver with a bunch of stuff that I don't understand as far as saying it out loud, but I will. It's a T-Nex, like Kleenex, only T-Nex. Glass-filled diaphragm. Yeah. It's a compression driver. I want to put that back on. I think it looks better with it back on. Because with it back on, uh-oh, did I break it? I probably broke it. I'm just going to leave it. All right, just going to leave it. I didn't get it fully seated. All right, this is bothering me. There we go. Sorry. With it back on, I don't know. Looks like Batman's speaker. Like if this was in the Batmobile, you'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's Batman's speaker. Look at it. It's giant coolness. Let's talk about Soundstage and imaging. So I used one of my favorite songs, Chocolate Chip Trip by Tool. Initially had these not towed in directly at me, but kind of like a softer toe in. And I had them about 16 inches from the back wall. Okay? Chocolate Chip Trip. Great movement back and forth. No delineation between the right and the left speaker. Very tangible with where it's at. Fantastic. Fantastic. Probably one of the better speakers I've ever heard for imaging. For center imaging, the chain, Fleetwood Mac, dead center. What kind of surprised me about these is just how easily they threw up a center image. And I didn't really even mess around with them. I didn't have to talk them into giving me a good center. It was just great. Killing Strangers, Marilyn Manson. The beginning where it goes do 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 do. Okay, so these got to the sides. They didn't go all the way around me like the ELAC Unify UB52s. Not quite as far, but they did very, very well. They soundstage great. Wherever I May Roam, Metallica, the beginning of that song out of the right speaker. Yeah, way right. Way right. Way right. Okay, so soundstage and imaging, very good. Very good. I would say like top 25%, top 20%. Yeah. Let's talk about bass. Okay, bass. Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys. Ooh, my mustache got really wet with coffee. It goes very deep. If you have a speaker with good bass roll-off, you're still going to get an impression of how deep that song is. On these, I felt like it was somewhat cut off, and that's not an uncommon thing. I've heard it a lot, especially with speakers with a 5 1/4 inch woofer. So while I felt like it was cut off, what was there was good and punchy. Killing Strangers was better than that. It did have a little bit more extended idea of the bass enormity. However, how it sounds with like instruments was very good. Dumb, Nirvana off the MTV Unplugged. The bass line sounded just like a bass line. And when I say that, I meant it didn't have any more thickness. It didn't sound lean. It didn't sound overtly rich. It just sounded like a bass. So I would call that neutral. Sounded really good. So What? Miles Davis, A Kind of Blue. Stand-up bass, again, the same. Sounded perfect. Perfect. I felt like there's a little bit of punch when I got these in front of a wall. And that's good. Sad But True, Metallica. Had some get up and get you. Punch you a little lightly in the mouth. Not like full on, just a little bit of punch. Like if you got punched by a 12-year-old, 13-year-old. Yeah. Like it's still going to hurt, but not nearly as badly as being punched by like a 35-year-old longshoreman. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope it does. Okay. We talk about that. We talk about that. We talk about that. Let's talk about midrange. Going back to Sad But True. No. Pretty good. Pretty good. Lacked a bit of body, but it was still really solid. Shoot to Thrill, AC/DC, fantastic. Great crunch, still had enough fullness and depth that it didn't sound like shifted all the way up to the highs. It was really good. Yeah, Shoot to Thrill, really good. Let's talk about Adele. Hello. Her voice was about as good as I've heard it. Super clear. Had a presence and a vibe and a vision into the nuances of her voice as far as like the vibrato and other silly name things like that. Okay. Ooh, Patience. Chris Cornell. His voice lacked a bit of fullness. And that was something that I kind of heard a few times with male vocals. The male vocals in some of acoustic guitars felt a little thin. Okay? They felt a little thin. I think that has something to do with like maybe their height, because this is a taller speaker than what a normal, more common bookshelf is. I played around with the placement a bit, and I did notice a difference in the sound depending upon how high it was. And I felt like the closer I got it to the floor, I felt like some of that fullness stuff went away. However, this is one of the first speakers I was like, man, I wish I could just EQ this a bit. And I don't have an EQ on my computer. I'll probably get one. But I think I'm going to play with that. But this speaker overall is so good that I just wanted to see what a little bit of EQ would do to kind of the lower mids. But anyway, don't let that dissuade you. Mid-range is good. Felt like it was a little thin sometimes. Still really awesome. Let's talk about treble. Centerman. Nina Simone, 16th notes on the hi-hat at the beginning, out of the right speaker. Awesome, very detailed. However, I felt like there was, it's not that it wasn't too good. It just felt like a little bit like, not unnatural, but I could tell it was coming from a speaker. But yet it had all the characteristics of what I would consider to be sounding accurate. I couldn't quite figure it out. I couldn't really put my finger on it. Like, it was great, but I could still tell that it was coming from a speaker. It didn't have that in-room presence that I've heard from other speakers. Like, here's the weird thing. I felt like the hi-hat needed just a little bit more weight to it, which is weird. I don't know, but it's still awesome. All right. There's that's final thoughts. Africa, great cymbal decay. There Will Be Time, Mumford & Sons. Ton of air in the beginning of that song. They're moving stuff around. You can hear it. Very good. Highs are very good. Like, I feel like they're great, and then I just felt like I could hear kind of more up in the, I don't know, upper treble. And I've heard air before, but I felt like I just was hearing details that I hadn't quite heard before. Like a clarity into the music. Yeah. Ton of detail. A lot of good air. Time check. What are my final thoughts? The directivity, like, this is like not a shotgun blast, right? This is more focused from the way that the driver is implemented and the construction or the design of the speaker. There's a lot of cool stuff going on this speaker. The imaging and the center image on this was incredible, just locked on. When you play around with tone, you can get even a more immersive experience with this speaker. Okay? I felt like the mids were a titch lean. I think there's a lot of stuff going on in my room, though. When I listened to these in the near field, I didn't really get a sense of that as much as when I took them to the big room. Okay? When I had them in the bedroom, just initially, I was just like, forget it. These are awesome. Like Alanis Morissette off the MTV Unplugged. This speaker just played it effortlessly. Like, this speaker, here's a good, this speaker plays detail effortlessly. It just came so natural to this speaker. And not just in the highs, but in the mids. It's just great. It's great. It has enough bass that I don't feel like it's anemic. So I feel like the bass on this is pretty neutral, if not very neutral. Although on Highway to Hell by AC/DC, I did feel like there's a little extra thickness on the bass drum. But it was still awesome and pleasing. So here's the bad thing about this speaker. So this speaker was on sale for like $290, and I literally just looked it up, and it looked like it was back up to, I think, $599. Okay, I wanted to get this out while it was still on sale, and I have no dog in the hunt. I have no affiliate links to JBL. So at $290, I think this is an exceptional speaker, an exceptional value. At $599, I think I would wait till it goes back down to $290 or whatever it is. This speaker does things that others don't. And you can just kind of look at it and kind of, okay, yeah, I get it. Just look at it. It's great. It's fantastic. I don't think you need a center channel if you have these as your fronts. Dialogue is crystal clear while not being weirdly like revealing so that you can hear when the mix is bad. I did feel like this speaker liked some songs better than others, but at no point did I feel like it was presenting the music to me badly. I was continued to be blown away. Reminds me of the Yamaha C93 2s with a little bit less pop on the highs. And I like that speaker. I like this speaker a lot. I don't like it at $599. I do like it at $290. I love it at $290. I would probably, like help it repair a fence or paint the interior of their house. Maybe do some small light repairs at the if this was my friend and owned a house. Yeah, if that makes sense. Hey, Ron over at New Record Day, and I have a cool podcast. Comes out every Wednesday. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's called the Ron and Randy Audio Hour. We just kind of talk for an extended period of time and then record it. Yeah, there's some method to our madness. I'm also on a Twitter at Cheap Audio Man. Also on Facebook. Okay. If you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Amazon Music HD for free for 3 months. Click on the link, scroll down to the bottom, click Try HD. If you buy anything through my affiliate links, I get a little bit of a commission. Doesn't cost you any more. I also have a Patreon. Every Sunday we do patron-only Zooms. We did one last night. It was a lot of fun. We get together and we chit-chat. Get to know each other. So if you like what we're doing over here, subscribe. We also have Between Two Speakers. Not everybody loves Between Two Speakers, but I have a good time doing it. Hey, it's a joke. It's not real. It's a joke. So, with that, go binge listen to some music and fill your soul with happiness. And I'm Randy, and I'm a Cheap Audio Man.